Hey folks, Trevor Macduff, president of Silas Education here, and we are talking today about how to track your mid-altitude balloon. Mid-altitude balloons are fantastic tools for some long-range data collection. You can use them with an after-school club, you can use them with your classroom, you can use them with your community group, museums launch them. Whatever it takes, they're a great tool for learning about the atmosphere, radio waves, and integrating ham radio with a lot of the cool learning that you're already doing in other activities and hobbies. So we want to talk about 4 different areas today when we look at tracking your balloon. We want to make sure we understand how to make some visual predictions, look at some nice GUI interfaces and figure out how to see what's going to happen with the weather. Some live tracking, where do we get our data that's actually being broadcast in real time. Predictive software so we can anticipate where it might be. We're going to lose track of this a couple of times over the oceans and some dead spots around the world, and so we want to know when and where we might be able to pick it back up. And if you're really into this, GIS can help you with this. It's a pretty powerful tool. We're not going to go into that a whole lot for this because we just kind of don't need to. NullSchool is where we want to start. This is a great interface for visual predictions. The website there is earth.nullschool.net. It's very graphical, very user-friendly, easy interface. It's got some display options that we want to talk about here. Make sure we know where we're going with this. It's not super precise, but that's okay. It gives you a good idea of what to expect. So we're looking here at the actual website here of NullSchool. You see surface level winds here. So when you get on the website, there it is, some surface level winds, and off it goes. But if we come down here and click on the Earth menu, we've got some options there. Now, the one we're most interested in is height. And I don't know why they do this in hectopascals of all things, but that's what they do. I was told that 500 hectopascals, click, there we are, is the one that we want to use for what we're doing with the balloon. The balloon is going to be about at the altitude where the pressure would be 500 hectopascals. So as we scroll around here a little bit and look at this, we can see some swirls and some patterns, zoom in, get a flavor for what's going on. The different colors tell us that there's a higher speed or a lower speed. We can see some wind eddies in there, follow the jet stream around, and generally know that the wind travels from the west to the east. And there it goes. We get the whole planet, and it's constantly updating because there's different things going on. We can even slide down, maybe see some doldrums there at the equator. But if you're on the southern hemisphere, we want to make sure we can take a gander here and take a look. It's a little bit more challenging with your balloons on the southern hemisphere because there's not a lot of land mass there. Another way to look at this projection-wise, if we come over here to the W3, it stands for Winkle Triple. Winkle's the guy who made it. Triple means he took 3 variables into account. And we have a nice layout of the whole planet there, and you can kind of see what's going to happen with the weather patterns and your balloon. Live tracking, we use APRS for live tracking. APRS stands for Automated Packet Reporting System. There's been some debate about exactly what that means, so I'm going to stick with this one for now, but if you want to fight, give me a call later. We'll have a conversation. But the important thing is APRS.Fi. Fi means it's out of Finland. It's a system that gets about 200 miles line of sight signal. So the signal will travel 200 miles in a line of sight. That should tell you that if you're going over the ocean, you're likely to run out of line of sight because people didn't set up an antenna in the middle of the ocean for us. It's also our tracker that we usually use is solar powered. Batteries are heavy. So if we can make enough energy to send out a packet with some solar panels, we don't get any signal at night. But also if we're greater than 200 miles from the eye gate or digipeater, we're going to run out of signal as well. The good news in a group tracking, and I like to do the coordinated launches, where you get several call signs together, you can actually customize the link so that you can share it out with your group, with social media. The media or reporters like to have a one-stop shopping to track things as well if your group's getting some media coverage. So if we kind of come over here to the Google and start to do some typing in of APRS.fi and see where that takes us, loading, loading, loading. See, that takes us right here where I am in Washington State. Zoom out and you can see all of those dots turn into squares. It's just pixelation of showing the scale there. But to track something, we want to come over here to where it says track call sign. I've tracked several in the past. You click on the one you want or type in the one that you're doing and hit search. And then it will show you. It zooms right in. It gives you some information there. We'll look at that information in a minute. Wanted to show you something else real quick. As I zoom out, the line kind of stops there at Beatrice, but if I click on the 1 hour and I go all the way down, I want the tail length to be 7 days, as long as possible. Click. All of a sudden we have several more days worth of information here. Now this is an older balloon and we'll see the date here in a minute, but as we zoom in, it's not a red line. It is a blue line with red dots, though the line often appears red because those dots are so close together. Every 2 minutes, our sky tracker is putting out a packet of information, and each of these red dots represents that packet of information. And as you look here on the screen, we know that it's going 112 miles an hour, it was heading 67 degrees, it was 42,000 feet, and we get all this information, the temperature, the solar volts, and this is all data that's being brought out, and you can use it with your classroom, you can use it for personal use, you can use it with your club. If you're able to download it into a GIS file, then actually you can do some pretty cool things with it. But again, that's a little more advanced than we're talking today. NOAA is our last really powerful, highly recommended predictive software here. We had the visual, we had the active, and here's predictive. This is better for the older students. If you're doing this with kids, high school, college age, they should be able to figure out how to do this. Younger than that, I kind of suggest the teacher or the leader, the mentor, make the predictions and show it to the students so you can have the prediction, and then update it throughout the flight. Every day you'll get more information from APRS, and you can input the altitude, you can input the GPS location, and you can get updates, and then you can compare with your previous predictions, and you can compare against whatever's happening with NullSchool right then. So if we go here to, and I'll share this website in the comments down below, but if we go to the NOAA high split ARL laboratory there, what we want to do is start with the right meteorology model. We want the GFS with 240 hours of a forecast. I've already kind of input the GPS coordinates. The more decimals you get, the more precise it is, but it's also wind, so it may not matter that much. Make sure you've got your north and west and south and east properly taken care of, depending on where you are in the world, and hit next. This is they update the forecast cycle regularly. Just make sure it's on the most recent one and you'll be in a good shape. This is a little bit complicated here, but it's doable. I choose isobaric. That's the model that we want. If we look at the time, it's in what's called UTC, Universal Time Zone. It used to be Greenwich Mean Time. Anyhow, so it says the current time when I'm recording this is 2045. I can leave that there. If you're predicting ahead of time, you can change that as needed. 240 hours is good. The latitude, longitude goes right into it. Height. Because this is starting out and I don't know what the height is, I'm predicting 12,000, but don't do AGL. That's meters above ground level. You want the meters above mean sea level, AMSL. That's very important that you do that. Scrolling down, this is the display output. Now I'm doing Google Earth, but right there is where you get your GIS if you want the shape file. Scrolling down, I like to put the rainfall in here because rain is kind of our enemy, and if I can see a rainstorm coming, then I know when we might have bad news potentially. And I'm able to track along and update it more regularly. This can take a couple of tries here. Every 10 seconds it'll upload and reload, and we just wait. So it says it's 42% complete. Now it's 100% complete. It just hasn't shown it to us quite yet, but it's going to. It just takes some time to run the model and push it out the way that we want it to be. And lo and behold, there we go. We have a map. Sometimes this image comes out a little goofy. It's a globe and it's stretching out on either side, trying to go around the world without going around the world. But we can ignore that because, well, it just gets goofy. So anyhow, if we scroll down a little bit, we can click on the PDF, and this is probably the easiest way to do it. Click on the PDF, and there you go. We had the Google Earth file as well. If you wanted to Google Earth it, you could open that in Google Earth. But this shows that from my location, if I were to launch right now, it would head up over Hudson Bay, cut across the Atlantic pretty quick, cut in through France, it looks like there, across Europe, zoom through Russia. We'd have a pretty quick trip if I could get a balloon up right here, right now. Anyways, that's our show. Thanks for watching. If you need any help, make sure you give us a call. You can reach me at trevor@silaseducation.org or j_cozens@yahoo.com if you wanted to get a hold of Joanne. We're here to help you make this a successful launch. We have some other print materials that we'll be emailing out with the videos, or upon request, we can get them to you so that you have more access to make this a wonderful, powerful learning opportunity with your students and clubs. Anyways, we're glad you're here. Thanks so much.